I vision this whole process as a soul art process, meaning that we start with a visioning exercise to where we invoke the soul. The soul aspect of us actually is speaking to us all the time, and it delivers messages to us, images to us. That's the language that it speaks. I'm most interested, my work is about the feminine soul. And feminine soul speaks to us in ways that are fluid, very connected, giving us aspects of motion. The feminine soul is very wild, unpredictable, soft, peaceful, irrational, the whole gamut. It's the fantastic nature of women and also of men. Men also have a feminine soul. But I work with women because in our culture we've lost this appreciation and art for the wildness, the freedom, and the really divine wisdom that comes from the feminine soul. So accessing it gives us power again to live into the places within ourselves that we've learned to shut down. It's magical in the way that it transfers into other aspects of our lives. Little bits of this information become stronger and stronger. We begin to hear whisperings. We begin to hear her voice speaking to us and opening us up. It's really an enlivening process to make us more fully who we actually are. This whole process for me is a spiritual practice of listening. I do not try to inform my vision onto the canvas. It's more of an allowing. It's the art of allowing what wants to move through me. And so far it's been predominantly in the form of women. So I honor that. Again, it's a relationship with the great mystery. And I honor her. If something wants to come through in the form of symbols, it becomes part of the process, part of the painting, part of my own wisdom then that I get to work with in my life. Trust yourself to hear. I know how to paint faces. I don't have to think about the mechanics of it. But in the beginning, you have to think about the mechanics and what you're doing. And but the thing is, your spirit is the ground underneath the desire to do this in the first place. So I help you to connect with her. What is it that wants to come forward? Let's really feel her. Let's trust yourself to what you're hearing. And then how do we take that and how do we articulate it on a canvas with paint? So it's a fascinating process. It's a process of paint and spirit showing up and producing this wonderful image that has energy behind it. The feminine soul is all about the movement. You gotta keep her moving, and then she works with you, so it's a fiery process. Sometimes peaceful too. 3 years ago, went through dramatic life change, to where I suddenly had to confront I got to confront what my life was really about and what I really wanted, and be very intentional about what I included in my life. And I came face to face with the recognition that I had always wanted to be an artist, but I'd never really taken myself seriously. So I embarked on some training for myself, and I studied with 3 different teachers, and I said I was going to make art the center of my life. I was going to make it a key. I gave it attention. I created a space for myself to paint, and I painted regularly now for 3 years. So that is how it's evolved, and it's never let up. Now, an interesting thing happened that I see happening for many of the women that I work with. When I first began to paint, I became so joyful and impassioned, and I felt guilty. I felt guilty because I thought, is it okay for me to be this happy? Is this much joy okay? And it really surprised me. I'm gonna cry. That was the response that I had. And then a deeper question came up, which was, why wouldn't I want to have this much joy as who I am and living the life that I want to be living? Why wouldn't I want that? And it really came down to feelings of lack of worth. And this is a really powerful issue, I know, not just for myself, but for most every woman I have worked with. Is this issue of worth comes up because it opens up a life force of this joy and aliveness and happiness that has been pressed down. And when it lets loose and has some air to breathe, it's the reason I do what I do. And I think this is also part of my mission, is I want to help women reclaim, this essential part of themselves that says, I'm worthy too. In fact, not only is this it's not a luxury. It's not a luxury to feel worthy. It's critical that we feel worthy. It is an essential, sacred reclaiming of who we are. Because until we really feel this worthiness, I don't think we really can come fully alive with all the gifts that we're here to give. And our world so needs us. There is something that I want to mention, and that is this voice of the critic. It comes up 100% of the time. It's much stronger in some people than in others, but it is the voice that will stop you from even embarking on this, and it will be the voice that judges and wants to make you very nervous with trying new things or trying new marks or even stepping through the process. And sometimes it takes a long time for the voice to be quiet, but the key is that it's getting in different relationship with this voice that is really just trying to protect you. It doesn't want you to look foolish. It doesn't want you, all kinds of things that voice can be covering up. So we work with the critic too to help soften. And sometimes journaling helps or comes into play. But my experience has been that the more I paint, the quieter the critic is becoming. And the more that I trust myself, because I've seen now over and over and over that if I trust a deeper voice, the one that wants to do this, it all works out. So this is something I do just want to really say very strongly, because I know it's the reason that somebody might have an inkling to want to do this, but the voice will come up immediately and say, well, you can't do that. You can't even draw. I can't draw. I can paint, but honestly, I have trouble drawing. So Anyway, don't let that stop you, because just understand it's a universal voice, and it's something we move through and past, and it does get quieter. And quite frankly, sometimes it's just the pure joy that overrides it. You know, it's just the pure joy of using the paint, of seeing the magic that starts to happen. I can't tell you how many times women get done and look at the canvas and say, I cannot believe I just painted that. It's okay to try something new, take a risk, see what happens. Whenever a painting's not going well, I tell myself, it's just paint. That's all it is. It's just paint, and we can layer over it. And that's another whole aspect to this. This is a layering upon layering upon layering process. We are not just painting an image and it's done in one fell time the first time we do it. Not at all. And a lot of times it's hard to know that. Just looking at a painting, you're thinking, oh my gosh, I could never do that. But the truth is that artist has put a lot of hours into it and layered the effects of it. When I'm really in the zone, you know, and I work to be in the zone, and the way I do that is to stay fluid, painting, because there are those times then when the spirit just comes in. It feels like takes over. I'm just moving. My hands are going. I'm grabbing the paint. I'm just doing doing it. But I feel like I'm being used. I'm being guided, you know. And I think if you paint a lot, that starts to happen. Not so much in the beginning, but there is a certain amount of direction. My preparation to begin with when I have a blank canvas is usually I get very quiet and I really tune into what is the energy that wants to move forward now, and tune into that. And that will dictate at least the beginning of the process. Sometimes it goes very quickly. Sometimes I've been very fortunate and the painting will flow out within a few days, but that's not typical. Usually the painting is a process that I move through, and I may just know where to start, and then I surrender. The whole painting process is a surrendering process.